My name is Robert Landau. I'm originally from New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, my father. In-law, there you go. There you go. And I was an actor there for many years, and then decided to go to sea, as many of you probably have heard me say before. Started out as a socializer, dancing with over 300 single ladies on a 3-week cruise. Was a total disaster at doing that because I didn't know how to ballroom dance, but somehow I made it through. It became a season. The next season I was asked back as an assistant cruise director. Did that for over 3.5 years, and then I thought, you know what? With all this acting training that I have, I could actually cruise direct and see the world, as we say in New York. And that's exactly what I did. I started cruise directing on smaller cruise ships and then made it to the larger cruise ships as a cruise director. It turned out to be an incredible, close to 10-year career as an international cruise director, 300 ports of call on close to 400 cruises. Yes, you can touch me if you like. There you go. There you go. Calm down. It's okay. I know. I know.
Maintaining.
Anyway, now I make my living doing this. I am a national motivational speaker. I live up in the Woodlands, not too far. Woodlands, north of Houston. I love it. I love it. There you go. And I speak at conferences and conventions as a motivational speaker in and around the Houston metro area, but also out of state as well. And I am honored to be here. Mary, are we going, we're going to be going close, 1.5 years on this series? At least, right? At least. And that's all because of you. And thank you so much for returning each and every month. It is most appreciated. So, today, without any further ado, we're going to talk about a very, very important topic that, if it isn't now, has affected each and every one of us at one time or another. And if you think it is done with, it might present itself to you in the not-too-distant future. So my hope today is that you'll take a few juicy tidbits from this presentation and actually make use of them so that you can better manage either the onset of burnout or when you find yourself in full-on burnout mode. The stuff we're going to talk about today really makes a difference, but you are the only one who can choose to put these helpful hints into action. Because wouldn't it be a shame if you really resonated with so much of what was said here today and then you left it on the table once you got up and left, right? Don't do that. It's up to you to continue to affect positive change in your life attending events like this. So we're going to talk about what causes burnout, how we attract burnout, and 5 easy ways to manage burnout. And we're actually going to discuss a lot more pertaining to this topic. Those of you who are Facebook friends of mine know that every morning, without fail, I post something called a daily Robertism. These are original motivational quotes, one new one each and every day, to help over 1,000 people get out of bed with a little more hope each and every day, or go to sleep at peace just a little more every night. And if you'd like to follow me on Facebook, it's Robert Landau Speaker. And with Robertisms in mind, I've pulled some that have everything to do with today's important topic. Here's the first one. You might not be able to fix what's broken, but you can certainly choose to rise above it. It's okay to feel negative and down in the dumps at times. Just be sure not to stay there too long. One step forward creates the biggest wave of change. Choose to take it. It's not what happens, but how you choose to react to what happens that matters. Finally, and if you get nothing more from this today, but this is huge, your imagination creates your reality. I'll say it again. Your imagination creates your reality. So again, it's Robert Landau Speaker. if you'd like. So burnout. Let's get a good working definition of what burnout actually is. So if I were to ask you how to define burnout, which I'm doing right here, right now, how would you define it? What's a good working definition of burnout? Tired of doing the same thing over and over again. I love that because there's action to it, there's movement to it, and there's a habitual energy to it too. That's how we start to dig ourselves deeper into the rut of burnout, or at least feeling as if burnout is with us. Thank you. What else? Any other definitions?
Losing passion for what you're doing.
Wow, love it. Losing passion for what you're doing. Passion ignites the flame of positivity and moving forward within you. Who lights that flame? You do. Right? But when you start to get stressed and stressed and stressed and more stress, that flame starts to burn out. It is an eternal flame, though, but we forget that it's burning there within us because we accept so much of what's going on the outside of us that we forget who we really are within. And this series and what I'm all about is helping you to remember things that you think you have forgotten about yourself. Thank you for that. Any others? Good work, everyone. Here are some of mine. Burnout is what happens when you refuse to acknowledge the present moment. Think about that for a minute. Burnout is also what happens when you choose to attach yourself to certain thoughts that you think, most often in a habitual pattern, and refuse to let them go and move forward. Burnout is what happens when you want something to be other than the way it is, right? And you know what we can substitute for the word burnout? Stress. They're synonymous with each other. They walk hand in hand, unfortunately. And this reminds me, if anybody resonates with these slides and you want to take photos of them with your cell phone, please don't hesitate to do so. And if you'd like me in the photo as you do so, there's absolutely no extra charge. Why? Because I got my hair specially done today.
No.
What do you think of that?
Great.
Thank you. Oh. You're doing so well. Yeah. So, complete the following sentence, please. I start to experience burnout when what? I start to experience burnout when what? Huh?
When I do not have motivation.
When I didn't have motivation, right? When you didn't think that flame was burning within you. Yeah, I love that. What else? Mary?
I feel burned out when I get overstressed and too many things are on my platter. I just want to turn everything off and I don't have the motivation like she said.
Yes. She feels burnout when she has too many things going on, when she has too much on her platter, and then she just tends to shut down and turn it off. And then she can't find motivation. Christina?
I start to get burnout when I don't remember to schedule my off time and my self-care the same way I schedule my work.
I love that. So it's like a work, personal time balance.
But I actually started going into my calendar and scheduling it.
Yes.
Like, this is my appointment to do nothing.
Oh, did you hear that? Yeah. This is my appointment to do nothing. Girl, I'm telling you. This is my appointment to do absolutely nothing. And how many appointments like that do you make? Make one, make one a week. And then once you got that going, it'll be a positive habit. Make 2 a week. And then, oh my God, once you're on a roll, God forbid you should choose to make 3 a week. This is all about you and nobody else. And there is nothing wrong with putting yourself number 1 at the top of your list unselfishly. Yes, thanks everybody. Great job. Here are some symptoms that we all know burnout tends to produce. Increased anxiety, restlessness, short fuse, very emotional reaction to things, impaired concentration and attention span, uneasiness and negative mindset, hopelessness, anger. There are also breathing issues associated with the topic of burnout, loss of appetite or the urge to overeat, insomnia, forgetfulness, disengagement, lack of motivation, inspiration, depression, increased illness potential, and chronic fatigue. My goodness, I got to hold myself up by this chair just to get through that list, right? Do you see how powerful words can be? And the energy that's associated with them, and even the colors that are associated with them. This is how you invite, one of the ways you invite stress or burnout to you. Because when you start feeling these things, let's just say insomnia. What happens when you can't sleep at night?
Wake up dragging.
You wake up dragging in the morning, and what else? You think too much, right? You start talking to yourself within yourself, and it probably isn't very positive. And you do that in a habitual manner, and you bring more of this stuff to you. Words invite energy to you. Words and thoughts and feelings invite those things to you. Be careful how you talk to yourself within yourself, because you bring what you think to you. You're a very powerful conductor. You're a very powerful creator. Here's some brief statistics on burnout. Are men or women more burned out? 37% of men surveyed say they are, while 45% of women say they are. Do you want me in or out of the photo? Yeah. Oh, come on, be honest. Oh, thank you. You want seductive smile or just professional smile? Or
That's an option on my website. Seductive smile or not?
Is it?
I like seductive
See?
smile.
I like seductive smile too. And you don't get into trouble by just, having fun a little bit, But why would more women feel burned out than men, do you think?
Women do more.
Women do more. Well, but you know what? I would tend to agree with that, because women, and I know I'm making a general statement here, have a lot more on their platter often than men do. And the whole way Western society has been set up is that, well, the man provides, but then the woman has to sweep up behind him. And she ends up doing more work than he does, right? Because now, thank God, women are doing things for themselves and making a name for themselves and having careers for themselves, but still have to sweep up after him or her, Yeah, I can understand. I can understand. Do burnout rates differ by age? And here's what the survey says. Burnout is the black. No burnout is the green. So those surveyed, 35 or under, not as much burnout. As a matter of fact, more are not burnt out than are. Ages 36 to 45 is where the thing changes, and about 25% of those surveyed between the ages of 35 and 45 really feel burned out. 46 to 55 is where you have most of the burnout shown here, at least in this survey. It's amazing. It's about 33%. 33%. And then it gets a little better, 55 to 65, and then, wow, you're over the hump if you're 65 or older. And some days I feel like I'm there, for better or for worse. Question. Think about this. Who is creating your burnout? Aha. Same with stress. Who creates your stress? You do, you do, you do, and you know what? You do. Are your burnouts, huh? Oh, yeah. Are your burnout symptoms really you? All of those symptoms that were listed just before, are those really you when you experience burnout? No. Why? Because they're just that, symptoms. Very well said. They're just that. All of this stuff happens on the outside of you. If you invite it in, you become the stuff on the outside of you. It's your choice to resonate with all that burnout stuff on the outside of you. And if you do, you're saying, hey, come on in. Come on in. Right? And it doesn't have to be that way. It's a choice. Burnout is something you choose to invite into your experience. Burnout lives, consider this, most burnout lives in your past and or in your future. It does not have to be a part of your present. I love this. Live in the now. How often do we do that? Or how often do we go back to the past or, by the same token, go ahead to the future? If you're always over here, or if you're always over here, you're never here. The Dalai Lama said this: there are only 2 days in the year that absolutely nothing can be done. One is called yesterday, and the other is called tomorrow. So today is the right day to love, to believe, to do, and to live. Top cause of burnout? Mind chatter. And we kind of alluded to this just before. And here's how you invite burnout in. This is what it looks like on paper. Number one, you choose to invite burnout in. Number two, you resonate in some weird way with the emotion and energy of the burnout scenario you are inviting in. Number three, then it stands to reason that if you can separate the stuff that's on the outside of you, which has now become present on the inside of you, then you become the burnout you're trying to avoid. And this is actually the manifestation process, really. And it works in this scenario too. So you have a thought. And if you keep thinking that thought, it'll turn into a feeling. Thoughts and feelings work together. Thoughts, feelings, right? And in a habitual repetition type pattern, these thoughts and feelings, like the same thought, I cannot believe I can't get sleep now. I will probably, by the time 7 a.m. comes around, only have 3 hours of sleep, and I have the most important day of my life today, later in the day, and I'm only going to get through it with 3 hours of sleep. I can't believe, why does this always happen to me? Why? Why? Well, you know what? You have 6 more hours to go. Why are you doing this to yourself? But if you keep saying that, do you think you're going to get to sleep? No. You're going to become all that energy that you're working so hard to resist. So that stuff turns into a belief because now somehow you believe that you're not going to be able to get sleep.
The best things I ever did for myself was to remove a clock from my bedside.
Ooh, I love that. Did you hear what she said? One of the best things she's ever done is to remove the clock from her bedside. Wow.
Well, I set an alarm on my phone, but I never looked at the time because it is what it is. It's going to go off no matter what.
Wow, that's not easy because my mind chatter would challenge that. It's like, what time is it? Oh my God, how much more time do you have? You know, it's yeah, that would, yes. I commend you. You've got real strength and stamina. No wonder. I see a cape you're wearing. Yeah, and it says S on the back. Anyway, once you believe something, it turns into reality. And in this case, you're burnt out. You're burnt out. But you are the one who burned yourself out. So here's the deal. When you're up against the wall of something like burnout, I believe, and many others, that you have only two ways to go. And both of them are separate modes, right? When you have something very challenging in front of you, you either go into survival mode, or you can choose to go into creation mode. Example, I am so burned out. The last 2 weeks, I haven't gotten any sleep at all. My schedule during the day has been breakneck. I don't think I can make it through another day. How am I going to get through? I'm going to have to just drink a lot of coffee to stay up. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do that, right? That's survival mode. But creation mode looks like this. You know what? It is what it is. There's nothing I can do. And I'm going to get through it no matter what. I'm not going to let this affect me because this morning, today is a new day. I choose not to carry any of the stuff from the last few days into my today. And I'm powerful enough to do that. That's creation mode because you're creating a better way to move forward. This moves you backward. So question that you don't have to answer now, but something for you to think about. When you're faced with an intense situation and you can no longer go forward and you can only go right or left, which mode do you choose to operate from? One will benefit you, the other won't. Your attitude determines your destination. Train your mind and your feet will follow. In this culture, in this Western society, we believe that we will only believe stuff when we see it. But the joke's on us because it works the other way. We got to believe it first, and then we will see it. So, here's an example. And if you're a Facebook friend of mine, I shared this very story when I spoke at Unity Lake Houston this past Sunday. From my cruise ship days, and yes, that's me. You want to talk about burnout, that's cruise directing. Why? Because for me, in my career, a minimum contract on board the ships was 9 months without 1 day off. Minimum, right? Because those of you who have cruised know that when a cruise ends Wednesday morning, the next cruise starts Wednesday afternoon. And you barely have time as a cruise director to go back to your stateroom and shower and get ready to stand on the gangway again to welcome the new bunch of passengers who are now coming on board, waiting for you to lift them during their cruise that they paid a lot of money for. Cruise director is the energy and voice of the ship. He or she is the life of the ship, but there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes because you also have to manage, depending on the ship, a large cruise staff. You have to be okay with the captain. You have to answer to the corporate office and the list, work with shore people. And the list goes on and on and on. Well, you also have to deal with entertainers. And that isn't always easy. I'm not talking about Christina Wells here.
I mean, you know.
But listen to this. There was one cruise line that my agent, I had an agent that put me on ships like an actor or actress does. And they said, Robert, we want you to be the first cruise director during our contract with this cruise line. And we're going to give you, as your lead act, a lady who had 3 hits in the 1960s as a singer. Very popular back then. She has not sung since. And she's going to make her comeback, and she has chosen to make her comeback on your ship. And she was our lead act. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is cool. I can see the marketing angle of this. Great to publicize. Love to work with someone who was really big in the 60s, no problem. And so the day comes when she arrives, and she comes up to me that first day of that cruise, and she goes, excuse me, I'm looking for Robert Landau. And I said, yes, you're looking at him. I'm the cruise director. Really nice to meet you. And she goes, yeah. And I thought, oh, yikes. But I'm not going to show it, right? And I said, well, welcome on board. We're really looking forward to this. You are our lead act. And boy, this is going to be wonderful. Sold out cruise. It's just going to be great energy. And she looks at me again and says, yeah. And I thought, yikes, yikes. Well, as the days went on, because she didn't perform until like 4 days into the cruise, my cruise staff kept coming to me and saying, my God, this lady is so rude. I mean, she berated me, the cruise staff person, in front of passengers. She was rude to the officer at the gangway. She wanted a complimentary shore excursion. She wanted this. She didn't want to eat what was on the menu. This, that, the whole thing. A diva with a capital D, right? And so it comes the day of her rehearsal. And she gives the sound man hell. And then the orchestra fires up. And she sings the first verse of her song. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Now I see why she has not sung since the 1960s. I'm sorry, but she was horrific. She couldn't sing. She was out of tune. Her whole energy on stage was not inviting. And so then it becomes the night of her performance. And I'm thinking, how in the world is this going to work? So she's rude to the other acts that have to follow her in the show backstage. And so I go out, and I'm the MC of the show, of course, and I say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We've got a treat for you. And I'm thinking, no, we don't. You're going to love this lady. No, you won't. And I introduce her, and she comes out, not with a smile, not very appealing looking, right? And she almost grabs the microphone from me. And I'm thinking, yikes. And then she starts to sing. And I'm standing on the sides now, side stage, looking out at the audience. And the whole energy in that huge theater starts to sink. And you don't want to be on a sinking ship, right? And so I'm thinking, okay, how do I remedy this situation? And so she's supposed to do 7 songs. At the end of the 4th, I magically appeared on stage, grabbed the microphone from her, and said, ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for so-and-so? And people like, and she looks at me and she says, but I'm not done yet. And I looked at her and I said, yes, you are. And she stomped off, right? And so I didn't know what to do. And you know what? I'm a New Yorker. We have reactionary DNA that if somebody gives something to us, we give it back to them double. And I wanted to. Now you know why so many people kind of magically go overboard? Just saying, just saying. So I called my agent in New York City, the same agent that put her on the ship, and said, you know what, guys, this ain't going to work. She is not ready for a comeback. Her energy is terrible. She's intimidating everybody, including me, and what do we do? And they told me, well, she's got to come off. We'll send a replacement. And I said, okay, when we get back to Miami? And they said, no, next port. Next port. She can't stay on board. We'll fly the next act into that port, and she'll be replaced. And I said, okay, and I had to tell her.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And I told her, and she was not happy at all. End of story. Years later, I was cruise director on a wonderful cruise ship that was doing the Med. And we were in a Greek port of call one day, and I was just about to get off the ship to try to balance myself and make appointment time for me. And I see this commotion on the gangway. And there's another lady, not this one I just told you about, very tall. She must have been 6'5", deep voice, black, very expensive pantsuit with a colorful turban around her head. There was no way you could not notice her. And she was making the people, including the officer at the gangway, total crack up. She was totally making them crack up. She was telling them dirty jokes. And I thought, who is this woman? Because she's not on board this ship. And I went to the purser at the desk and I said, who is that? And he said to me, you don't know who that is? And I said, no. And he said, that is Nita Doval. And I said, who's Nita Doval? And they said, she's an entertainer. She's been a singer for years. She's a star in Europe. She made 38 leads. She was the lead in 38 motion pictures in Italy. She's a sensation in the Caribbean and nightclubs, and she does world cruises as a singer. You don't want to work with Nita Doval, the purser said to me. And I said, oh, well, no problem. She ain't on my ship. 3 years later, I get a call from my agent one night on that cruise ship out of Fort Lauderdale saying, Robert, the entertainer you have has to leave. It's a family emergency. We're sending you somebody as a replacement. And I said, great, who is that? And they said, Nita Doval. And I thought, oh no, not again. I'm going to have the same problem and experience the same burnout that I did with that 60s lady. And I said, I'm sorry, guys, no Nita Doval. I have heard about her. It just ain't going to work. And they said, look, we have nobody else. She lives 3 miles from the ship in Fort Lauderdale. You're going to work with Nita Doval. Just make it work. And I thought, oh, my God. So the night comes when she arrives at the pier in Fort Lauderdale. And I'm standing at the gangway. She was supposed to be there at 9 p.m. Now it's 10:20 p.m. And I'm really burned out from waiting and from just being a cruise director on that ship for 7 months already with 2 more months to go. I had a full head of hair when I started working on ships. That's a whole nother story. I'll tell you sometime. So anyway, Nita's limo pulls up to the pier. And I, in my New York DNA type of a mindset, I'm standing at the gangway saying to myself, you are not going down the gangway and opening the door of that limo for her. You're going to stay up on this gangway, and she is going to come to you. And I wait, and she waits, and I wait, and she waits. And the officer at the gangway says to me, is anything going to happen here? And so her driver gets out of the car and opens the rear door for her, but not before he pops the trunk and about 18 pieces of huge Louis Vuitton luggage come out of hers. And then she gets out. And first you see this long leg come out of the limo and put itself down on the concrete of the pier. And then she steps out. And she's looking at me. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I remember her now. Oh dear. And she's coming up to the gangway and she looks at me and I look up at her because remember she's like 6'5", and she goes, are you Landau? And I thought, oh no, I'm reverting back to the burnout from the 60s lady. DNA is in full activation now. And I said, yes, my name is Robert, good to meet you, welcome on board. And she goes, never mind that, let me see the showroom. I want to see where I'm going to be entertained. And I thought, right this way. So we go into the showroom, and she looks at it, and she says, oh, no. There's no way this is going to work. And I said, well, why not? And she goes, well, I'm used to performing in much classier lounges than this. And I said, okay. And she goes, well, I'm looking on the stage, and I see a 10-piece band. Is that what you have? And I said, yes. And she goes, I have charts, musical charts, for 14. You need to get 3 more musicians before this ship sails, because that's what my charts dictate. When I just got off the QE2, they had a 25-piece band. That's okay, you don't, but 10 just ain't going to cut it. And inside, I'm just like, you could probably see the smoke coming out of my ears, you know. And I said, I'm sorry, it's got to be 10. And she goes, okay, turn on the lights. Let me see how the stage is lit. And I did, and she goes, no, won't work. And do you have a pink follow spot? And I said, no, it's white, but I can see if it does change color maybe. She goes, well, we'll see. And last question. My act is 45 minutes. I hope that's okay. And I said, no, it's not. You can only do 30 because we have another act on right behind you. She goes, you know what? As we're walking back to the gangway now, she says to me, this really is not going to work. And I'm thinking, okay, Robert, why does this keep happening to you? And I wanted to stop that habitual mind chatter thought. And I thought, okay, you're burned out. Are you going to react in this mode? Or are you going to react in this other mode? And for once, I chose the creative mode that we were talking about before. And this is how it looked inside my little head. Robert, what 3 things can you do right now to make this situation better? You can't change it. It's here. It's on your doorstep. What can you do? Number 1 I got was, first of all, smile, because that changes the energy right away. Second of all, do what you can to keep this together. And number 3, maybe, just maybe, the 2 of you can be good friends. Because there was something about this lady that I really loved. But my mind chatter ego wouldn't let me get there, wouldn't let me reconnect with that flame that was burning within me. So I said, you know what, Miss Doval, we have major differences, but let's overcome them and work together. And all of a sudden, her whole facial expression changed, and she smiled and she goes, you know what, Landau, you and I are going to be dear, dear friends. And that's just what happened. Years after this contract was over, Nita and I kept in contact all the time and saw one another as often as we could. An amazing lady with an amazing history. Look her up on the web sometime. Too long. 3 films should be written about what she went through during the war in Europe. But a brilliant entertainer as well. We lost her in 1998 due to breast cancer, and I miss her each and every day. All because I chose to not let my burnout get the best of me. And you can too. 5 easy steps to avoid burnout. Number 1, be aware that burnout is on your doorstep. A lot of people are in denial about that. Do you want to get this? No, okay. Number 2, give yourself permission. Allow yourself some time to heal. Love yourself. Love yourself. Oh, I love what you're doing. That's great. So, this may sound a little elementary, but I want every one of you to do it, and I'm listening. I want you to repeat after me.
Go ahead.
Oh, you want me in it? Oh, I like you. Oh my God, they're all taking photos of me. This is like a press junket. Oh my God, look at these cameras go! I'm on the red carpet!
I have to tell my friends to do that.
You have to tell your, please invite your friends. I love to have my photo taken. No extra charge. Okay.
I know what you mean by that.
Yeah. So I want everybody to say this with me, please. I love myself. Say it again. I love myself.
And my company.
Oh, ooh, she's saying, and my company. You mean your company business?
Myself, my company, when I, no.
Oh, and your company, like
Me,
keeping
myself,
company.
I can go anywhere by myself. I go eat by myself. I go to movies by myself.
And that's cool.
You know,
Why not?
you have to love yourself.
You have to love yourself. Can you go to a movie? Can you eat at a restaurant and be alone and not feel alone? Yeah. You just do it.
Just do it.
But you just do it. Don't let your mind chatter stop you.
And you sit down and people see that energy you have and they just
The
start
only,
talking to you.
the only time that there's something wrong with that is if you think there's something wrong with that. And as Bette Midler says, and I won't quote her directly, to hell with them if they don't take a joke. Number 3, how will you heal? What is your plan of action, right? To get yourself out of the burnt out state or the approach of it. Never be afraid to fall apart. because it is an opportunity to rebuild yourself the way you wish you had been all along, right? The flame never dies. All you got to do is take steps to reconnect with it. And you can do this. That's what life is all about. Just do it. Hold yourself accountable. Yesterday, you said tomorrow.
Tomorrow never ends.
Tomorrow what?
Never ends.
Tomorrow never comes.
Never.
Yeah, also, tomorrow never, yeah. I mean, all we have is the present moment. Sometimes the smallest step in the right direction ends up being the biggest step of your life. Tiptoe if you must, but darn it, take the step. Number 5, monitor your progress. Be good to yourself during the process. And there is so much noise in the world today. Through cable TV, on the web, social media, out in the street, wherever. Don't become the noise. Learn how to walk amongst it without becoming it. And you can do that. Here are 12 quick tools to manage and avoid burnout. Number 1, figure out ways to do the following often. Unplug. And that's exactly what Christina was talking about. Schedule personal time with you, yourself, and you without any distractions. And if distractions occur, deal with it and then get back to your personal time.
But Robert, whenever I try to unplug, and then people are mad at me because they can't reach me. They're like, your phone's always on. Why didn't you call me back?
But you know what?
My text. Why didn't you?
But that's them. You be unselfish and take time for yourself because you know what? There's something called voicemail. There's something called an email.
You're just giving
My
them.
favorite thing I tell to myself all the time is, I'm not responsible for your feelings.
Right.
Ah, I love that. I am not
Someone else
responsible.
feels the same way about it. I'm not responsible
Don't
for
feel
your
obligated.
feelings. Yeah,
I'm not responsible for your feelings. Perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Christina. And you know, think of the symbolism of this. When you plug into electricity, it's coming from an outside source and it affects what you want to light up with electricity. Same thing with you. You're plugging into all the noise around you. And be careful not to become it. And the only way you don't become it is unplugging from it every so often. Mental burnout is a sign that your brain has had enough and needs to take a break. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. So there you go. No excuses. Just do it. Oh, we got them taking photos now. Well, look at them. It's like the press corps at the Academy Awards. It's choice, not chance, that determines your destiny. It is choice, not chance, that determines your destiny. Some ways to unplug: spend time with others, go for a walk, run, work out, your favorite song, movie, show, restaurant, go to a healing place with positive energy, spa, facial massage, read a helpful book, or go to a monthly motivational seminar series. Just saying, you know, just saying. Sometimes also having coffee with your best friend is all the therapy you need. It's about distracting your brain from the habitual thinking that got you into the burnout state in the first place. 2, affirmations that can pull you out of any rut that you're in. Create words that habitually reinforce a positive mindset. I am, before any affirmation makes it even more powerful. I am not going to be successful. I am successful. Even if you're not at this moment, it invites success to you. As soon as we wish to be happier, we are no longer happy. Because wish, that's like saying, I'm going to try, or that's going to happen one day. Be happy now, even if you don't feel like it, because if you trick your brain with that distraction, you will invite happiness to you. But you got to be what it is you want to invite first. Then it knows how to get to you. Visualization. I know many of you use visualization as a tool. If you can see and feel it, it will be yours. Complete this sentence. Ask and you shall receive. Same difference. You can't do anything that you can't picture yourself doing. Once you make the picturing process conscious and deliberate, you begin to create the self that you want to be. And guess what? It's already here. You just have to reconnect with it. Only you have control over 3 things in your life: the thoughts you think, the images you choose to visualize, and the actions you choose to take. Visualization is powerful. You can use this process to mend your heart or a sore elbow. I have used visualization as a tool for a successful career for years. I see myself doing what it is I want before I do it. And I do not let go of this picture until it manifests. And Suzanne Summers has created an amazing career for herself after her television stardom days by doing this. Prayer. Many of you pray. Don't stop. If you pray as if you already have what it is you are praying for, you'll get it faster. Feel as if you already have been given it before it has been given to you.
If you believe, you will achieve.
I love it. If you believe, you will achieve. Ow.
Ow.
Oh my God, you pack a wallop. When life gives you more than you can stand, kneel. Meditation. Anybody here meditate? It's much easier than you think. We meditate all day, a number of times a day. Close your eyes right now. Everybody close your eyes. Be aware of your breathing. Don't force it, just natural breath. Feel joy, feel happiness. What does that feel like? Excellent. Now open your eyes. You just meditated. That's all it is. That's all it is. But you got to take time to do it. Silence, which is also what meditation is, has a mysterious calming effect, allowing your soul to be at peace with your thoughts. One conscious breath in and out is a meditation. Breathe, just like we did. Be aware of your breathing process. If you're stuck in traffic, don't freak out. Be aware of your breathing process. That'll help you manage that burnout much more. In a world full of doing, it's important to take a moment to just breathe, to just be. Smile, laugh as often as you can. That's what I'm all about. That's why I dress like this. If I walked into HEB dressed like this, I'd be arrested. But I don't care. Laughter, Milton Berle, who should know, once said, is an instant vacation. Did you know that kids laugh a minimum of 400 times a day? Did you know that adults laugh a minimum of 15 times a day? Women tend to laugh more than men. Did you know that rats, when tickled, laugh? Don't ask me how I know. You can actually trick your brain into smiling, and here's how. I used to do this at the gangway all the time. When you smile, that's great. Your brain receives all that energy and sends that energy to every cell in your body. But your brain, science now reveals, does not know the difference between a real smile and a forced smile. And when you force a smile, your brain actually thinks you're really smiling. So smile even when you don't feel like it, and you'll still get the benefits of smiling. Laughing a minimum of 15 minutes a day, studies say, can add 2 years to your lifespan. Laughter is a sound that is universal. It is a universal language. In 2006, researchers at Loma Linda University in California found that 2 hormones, beta endorphins, which alleviate depression, and human growth hormones, which helps immunity, increased by 27 to 87% when volunteers in the study anticipated watching a humorous video. It's not when they saw it, it's when they were told they were going to see it, they already started to feel the healing effects of laughter and smiling. Many hospitals across the USA now have something called humor rooms. Patients recover from surgery in these rooms and have less pain in the recovery process. Oh, you want that?
Yeah, the other one.
They're going to go, why do you go hear that guy speak? I mean, God. Don't attach yourself to outside stuff. That's a choice. Delegate professionally and personally. Reevaluate and then eliminate. You can do anything but not everything. Don't ever be afraid to say no. Everybody say it. No. Everybody feel good about saying it. No. God, they follow instructions great, don't they? That's why we got to do this every month, because they need to be trained. The heck with them if they can't take a joke, right? No is a complete sentence. It does not require justification or explanation. Yeah. Let me hear you say yeah. Yeah. Let me hear you say yeah. Yeah, now you can say yes. You can be a good person with a kind heart and still say no. Life is too short to hide your feelings. Never be afraid to say what you feel. My dad, a very famous symphony orchestra conductor, was great as a mentor for me in so many ways, but he also taught me how to say no professionally, which I still use actively to this day. My mom, on the other hand, who was a modern dancer and then a photographer, was great at saying no personally. You did not cross her. She would tell you right off, but you know what? You always knew where she was coming from because she was not afraid to say no. Oh, I have good genes? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm so not used to compliments, but please, more. What else? What else? What else? Don't stop now.
That's why you're an excellent person, because you look at just the face of your mother. Yeah.
Wow,
Very
that's so
pretty
nice.
And you're epitomize her.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I lost both of them very tragically 9 years ago. And so hearing things like that really help my healing and grieving process. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Your mom.
Yes, I do. I do. And I'm damn proud of it. Forgive others, but don't forget to forgive yourself. Holding a grudge doesn't make you strong, it makes you bitter. Forgiving doesn't make you weak, it sets you free. These are all ways to avoid burnout, because you can get burnt out not forgiving someone. Forgive others not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness does not change the past, but it does change the future. Morning and evening check-ins, check in with yourself, schedule time to see how you're doing. Care for yourself like you care for others. Are you, dear friends, a victim of life's burnout types of situations, or might you just be a conscious co-creator? Always remember, just before we close, you can never control what happens on the outside of you, but you can always choose how you're going to manage all of that stuff that happens on the outside of you within. What you resist persists. It does not matter how slow you go, so long as you do not stop. That's meant for you. Your cell phone is telling you.
No, but I was showing them how I have it on mute and lowered the volume, and it's still.
Because that's the universe saying you need to take a photo of this. It's talking to you, but the question is, are you going to listen?
No, she can wait.
Oh, ooh. So we'll close with some Robertisms. Don't forget, next month we'll be here, same time, same station, with a different motivational topic. And here are remaining Robertisms just before we close. The only time someone can bring you down is if you choose to let them. Oh, was that you? Oh, so that you really, oh, I thought somebody was contacting us from the beginning. I thought there was a seance going on in the back of the room here. Oh, that was you. Okay, so you really resonated with that one. I love it. All those great things that you think you're not because of what you let your mind chatter tell you, You really are. Hello? You really, really are. That's the flame that never dies within you. Believe it, receive it, walk it, talk it. If you think you can't, do yourself a huge favor and please think again. You are meant to succeed. Get out of your way and let it happen. Every moment contains the possibility of a new beginning. Begin right here, right now. Make that commitment to yourself, and you will feel so much better. So, just before we leave, by show of hands, and be honest, how many of you feel a little better now than when we started just a little over an hour ago? Excellent. And I want you to know that that was not me. That was you reconnecting with who and what you really are. Don't leave it here. Let that flame burn when you walk through that door into the rest of your day, week, month, and we'll see you next month to give you a rekindling just in case you need it. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everybody. God bless.